Okay. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to our executive level webcast series, and welcome to Autodesk 2013. My name is Laura Guzman. I am Vice President of Marketing here at MicroDesk, and I want to thank you for joining us today as we take a look at the 2013 editions of Autodesk software today. It's been a great day for those of you who have joined us for our other sessions, and we appreciate you taking the time. So I do want to just take a moment here to go over a few logistics before I introduce our presenters. First of all, everyone has been put on mute for the duration of the presentation to help minimize any background distractions. And also, we will not have any time for the Q&A session today, but if you have any questions, please do feel free to type those into the questions toolbar area down at the bottom right-hand area of your screen, and we'll address those one-on-one after the presentation. We'll also give you our contact information at the end, so if you want to reach out to us at a later point, we'd be happy to answer any additional questions that come up along the way. All right, so with that, I would like to turn it over to our first presenter, Mike DeLacy, President of MicroDesk, to kick things off. Mike.
Thanks, Laura, and welcome everyone to Autodesk 2013. So before we jump in to all the great new features of Autodesk Revit Structure 2013, a little bit about MicroDesk. I think most of you are familiar with us. We are an Autodesk Gold partner. We are also an Oracle Gold partner, specializing in the Primavera project management, contract management, and project controls suite of software. This year, we're proud to announce that we're Autodesk's North American Channel Partner of the Year. It's pretty great to get recognition from Autodesk as to all the work that we've been doing within the architecture, engineering, construction, and owner-operator industries. From a logistical perspective, MicroDesk has 12 offices. We have 7 offices on the East Coast, from Nashville, New Hampshire to Washington, D.C. We have our newest office in Chicago, Illinois, and we have 4 offices in California, in Irvine, Los Angeles, Fresno, and San Francisco. Altogether, we're about 120 people, and out of that, 90 plus of us are AEC consulting specialists and software developers. So again, 90 technical people, all focused on the architecture, engineering, construction, and an owner-operator space. When we first started looking at the Autodesk 2013 suite of products and the technology that was included with them, we were trying to find a way to draw analogies to things that we see in other industries. And what you'll see in our marketing and some of the press that we have around Autodesk 2013 is an analogy to the automobile industry. And when you think about the cars that we were driving not too long ago, we were driving big, clunky, disconnected gas guzzlers. And today, when you look at the cars that we drive, we're driving, hybrid cars or electric vehicles that get 100 miles plus to the gallon, and they are very, very technology integrated. You think about the fact that we use GPS to navigate our way around today. We have streaming internet music coming right into our cars. We're plugging our iPods and our iPhones into our cars so that we can talk by voice-activated controls. So cars have come a real long way in just a few years. And we believe that the Autodesk 2013 represents a very similar jump in technology. When you compare Revit Structure 2013 to Revit Structure 2012 or 2011, it has made great strides forward. And the point that we want to make is that the software that you may have been using 2 years ago does not really compare to the software that we have or the technology we have available in the Autodesk 2013 suite of products. Again, in doing our analysis of the 2013 suite of products, we really drilled it down to 3 main points that we think are the most compelling and the most important out there in the marketplace. And that is that in 2013, these products are extremely well integrated. And Henry's going to talk a little bit about that as he goes through his presentation. Things like Revit One Box, which he'll explain. The software is very interoperable. And by interoperable, I mean that the way that Navisworks, Max Design, cloud-based rendering, cloud-based analysis, all kind of integrates into the Revit Structure design process is really significant. It's a big, big step forward. And the last one is collaborative. I talked just a second ago about the cloud and being able to use the cloud for rendering and analysis, but the cloud is also a storage and a distribution device where we can now take design information, we can push it up to the cloud, and while in the cloud we can do things like analysis, but we can also make it accessible outside of our typical office environment. And whether we're using the cloud to share that design information with colleagues within our organization, or using it to share it with other project participants, or maybe most importantly, using it to allow us to have access to that information really from pretty much anywhere at any time, and using devices that we may not have thought of using before, like iPads, iPhones, Droid devices. So this combination of integration, interoperability, and collaboration are a real significant theme throughout the Autodesk 2013 release. Okay, so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Henry Herrera. Henry is a resident structural engineer here at MicroDesk. He's a solution specialist that focuses on Revit Structure and the Building Design Suite Premium and Building Design Suite Ultimate series of products. Henry, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Mike. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Henry Herrera, and I'm one of the structural solution specialists here at MicroDesk. I'll be presenting the webinar focusing on the updates and enhancements for Revit Structure 2013. So we'll take a look at some of the new and enhanced features within Revit 2013, specifically for the structural community. The key features can be broken down into three main categories: Revit Rebar enhancements, analytical modeling improvements, and interoperability and collaboration tools. The integration of the Autodesk 360 Cloud is also a tremendous update where tasks can be performed over the cloud, such as energy analysis, rendering, and structural analysis. I will now go over some of the Rebar enhancements that will be beneficial for design and documentation. For 2013, area and path reinforcement has been updated with a new behavior that makes these elements function in a similar manner as beam systems and structural framing. The existing behaviors of area and path reinforcement have been maintained. The creation of these elements stays unchanged. Each is created using the same sketch editors, and the symbols and the same tags remain. The main difference is that the structural rebar elements will appear on the floor or wall and cannot be properly scheduled. Rebar sets will be created when possible, and individual bars will be created when sets cannot be defined, for example, along an arc. Welded wire fabric has also been integrated into Revit Structure 2013 and can be modeled and scheduled in the same way as path and area reinforcement. Let's now take a look at some of the updates pertaining to analytical modeling within Revit Structure 2013. In this release, you can find many enhancements to help create and manage the structural analytical model, such as better visibility and greater control over the analytical model. Analytical floors and analytical foundation slabs now have corner nodes in analytical edit mode. If you select the analytical model, you will see controls posted at all corners and edges, which allow direct manipulation of the analytical model. You may select individual edges by using the Tab key while hovering over an edge. And as mentioned previously, for the first time, you now have the ability to bring in Revit files directly into Navisworks. You no longer have to spend time exporting the file to Navisworks, and you also do not have to spend time breaking your file out by levels, which in the past, this has been the best practice to better separate the models so that selection sets were easier to create. Now, because they have incorporated the Revit hierarchy into Navisworks, they have also utilized the ability to select objects in Navisworks by level, family type, object, and material, straight from the selection tree. These functions alone will save you time and headaches when trying to coordinate between multiple models and disciplines, allowing you more organization and less time in thinking about how you need to organize the model before it goes into Navisworks. Autodesk 360 provides users with various tools to be performed on the cloud. We will specifically demo the Autodesk 360 structural analysis tool to give insight to how this may be beneficial for design and documentation. I'm going to go ahead and demo some of the features that I just spoke about on the PowerPoint presentation. Like mentioned previously, one of the major updates to Revit Structure 2013 was the development of welded wire fabric within concrete elements. As you can see from this model, I have defined multiple areas where I was intending to model welded wire fabric inside a structural concrete slab. The tool works very similar to the area reinforcement tool and has actually been added to the reinforcement panel on the ribbon. Going to a plan view, we can see the extent of the fabric sheets as well as their overlaps to adjacent sheets as well. And just like the majority of other modeled elements in Revit Structure, the welded wire fabric can also be scheduled. Schedules can be set up with whichever parameters are necessary for your intended design. We'll take a look at what a typical schedule for welded wire fabric may look like for your design. Another great feature that we spoke about earlier was the enhancement to the area and path reinforcement tools. When modeling rebar within your model, these elements can now be properly scheduled and will appear as physical elements in the model, not just as drafted elements when you cut a section or detail. You can see that when I go ahead and hide the concrete elements in a 3D view, we can now see all the reinforcement that is present. There have also been major improvements to the analytical tools for Revit Structure. It is very easy now to manipulate the analytical model of a structure within Revit itself or even add rigid links. For example, let's go ahead and orient this 3D view of this steel structure to be viewed from the top. When zooming into this column, we can see that the beams frame in eccentrically to the column itself. When we open up an analytical plan view, we can see that the stick representation of the structural elements for that specific floor. When we go ahead and click the analytical stick model, and click Analytical Adjust, a new pop-up window comes up, and we can easily modify portions of structural elements. In this case, I will go ahead and add an analytical link or rigid link from beam ends to column in order to model the connection eccentricity. If we now switch over to our 3D analytical view, we can see our rigid link connecting beams to columns. Our eccentric connection has now been modeled, and we were to export this to an analytical software, we'd now be able to capture that eccentric load on the physical column itself. With improvements to analytical modeling within Revit, Autodesk has also released a cloud-based structural analysis tool that can be extremely beneficial for structural engineers. Autodesk 360 Structural Analysis provides cloud-based structural analysis as part of the BIM process. With Autodesk 360 Structural Analysis, engineers and structural designers can extend structural analytical models to the cloud for static structural analysis. Results can then be visualized within Revit as well as the cloud anywhere at any time. Preliminary analysis can be done in the cloud while design continues, minimizing the amount of work and analytical modeling during early phases of design, overall greatly enhancing the engineer's workflow process. By default, Revit Structure generates both physical and analytical models of structural elements, where the physical model is used for documentation and analytical model is used for structural analysis. The analytical model that is generated with the physical model can have loads, load combinations, and boundary conditions defined within Revit in order to be sent to the cloud for static analysis. During the design process, the engineer can run multiple parallel analyses at the same time while work is being done for documentation and production by using the power of the cloud. This will ultimately increase productivity since the engineer or designer may possibly be interested in a few specific locations as well as the entire structure for the overall structural design. Structural analysis via the cloud makes structural design more accessible, allowing analysis to be performed anywhere or at any time as long as the analytical model has been uploaded to Autodesk 360. Traditionally, conducting structural analysis is time-intensive and requires extensive computing power. However, with Autodesk 360 Structural Analysis...
Henry, sorry to interrupt. You have a little reminder on your screen that's blocking our view. Would you mind checking that out?
Sorry about that.
No problem. Thanks.
It's okay. Traditionally, conducting structural analysis is time-intensive, requiring extensive computing power. However, with Autodesk 360 Structural Analysis, a designer or engineer can continue their design in Revit while their analysis is performed on the cloud. Autodesk 360 Structural Analysis allows a structural engineer's workflow to be streamlined within the platform-independent analysis environment. Being able to perform analysis via the cloud allows structural analysis to be performed early and as often as needed, especially when the design may change over time or have multiple iterations. Autodesk 360 Structural Analysis complements the structural engineer by integrating multiple structural analyses into the BIM process. Design decisions can be made early during the design process, which could ultimately save time and cost. And we can see here on my model that I have gathered results from the cloud. This can be done at any time, and the results can be displayed either in Revit or on the cloud itself. Right now we can see the cloud results, and in a second we can see what it would look like inside Revit itself. You can see that there's multiple different types of analysis within the cloud, such as nodal displacements, member displacements, forces and members, reactions of columns and beams as well. And here's how you would gather the results from the cloud within Revit itself, and you could display whichever reactions or results you're interested in. In this case, I'm going to look at column reactions at the base. Just click Apply, and you'll see that within a few seconds, all your reactions will pop up, and you'll be able to get an idea of what's going on with your structure. So to recap what we've seen today, there have been major updates to design and documentation, as well as analytical modeling, integration with Navisworks, and structural usage via the cloud. So that concludes our presentation for today on the new features within Revit Structure 2013. Thank you for joining us for this webinar, and I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Mike DeLacy.
Henry, thanks very much. Nice job there. So again, you know, Henry showed a lot of the new design capabilities within Revit Structure, but also did a great job of showing how well Revit Structure is integrated with cloud-based analysis and how the cloud can really be leveraged from a collaborative approach of sharing information. I do want to talk about just a couple of things. When we think about Autodesk in the 2013 suite of software, you probably heard a lot about design suites, the Building Design Suite Premium, Building Design Suite Standard, Building Design Suite Premium, and Building Design Suite Ultimate. One of the nice enhancements to the Building Design Suite Premium and Ultimate is that the Revit that ships in those suites for 2013 is actually one complete integrated product. So rather than purchasing Revit Architecture or Revit MEP or Revit Structure, in the design suite you have all three in one install within one interface with simply three separate ribbons. So the Revit One box is all three products, one interface, three separate ribbons, giving you access to everything. I also wanted to mention that where Henry showed cloud-based structural analysis, we also have the ability to do cloud-based energy analysis. We have cloud-based rendering, which is a fantastic way to create presentation materials at about 1/100th the time it would take to render these files on your local PC. You simply pass the model up to the cloud, and while you're working, the cloud can be rendering, and it does it very, very fast. I think what you'll see in the coming months is just a whole host of new cloud-based applications that will very nicely integrate into the Revit environment. When we talk about interoperability, as Henry had mentioned, we can now open RVT files directly from within Navisworks, within Max Design, or within Showcase. So no more exporting of files. What that means is that you can now provide your model in RVT format to contractors, to other design participants, and they can simply open that RVT file in Navisworks for coordination, class detection, things of that nature. And Henry, if we move to the next slide, a few logistics. So if this was kind of a high-level overview of what Revit Structure 2013 has to offer. If you're interested in more in-depth information, you can sign up for a May webinar exclusively on Revit Structure, and you can find that information at microdesk.com. If you're interested in more immediate information, please don't hesitate to give us a call. You can reach us at the number on your screen or at info@microdesk.com, and we'll provide you whatever information you need. If you'd like to schedule a one-on-one demo or a demo in your office, we'd be happy to do that for you. So again, to kind of wrap up, the three things that we think are really the most compelling. Obviously, there's great new design tools, there's great new documentation tools within these products, but it is the integration with things like the cloud technology. It's the interoperability amongst the various applications, and it's our ability to collaborate by pushing stuff up to the cloud, being able to access that information from outside the office using cool new devices like the iPad. And with that, I want to thank everybody for your time this afternoon. We really appreciate your spending some time with us, taking a look at this new technology. Any questions or any feedback that you have, please don't hesitate to provide it to us. I hope everybody has a great afternoon, and we look forward to talking to you in the future. Bye-bye.